I was going to land on it's a black film even before I watched it. And then after I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, this is absolutely Spike Lee kind of bringing his counter narrative to it, which makes it even more strongly a black film. So that I land on, I like the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a black film.
All right. I don't think it's a black film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the film.
Mm-hmm.
YUNKJunk!
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 Men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing our Black History Month query. Is this a black film? And tonight, we are digging into, once again, the filmography of one Spike Lee, as we present Vincent's selection for tonight's Stop on the Mission from 1999. It is The Summer of Sam.
Summer of Sam.
Starring John Leguizamo and Adrian Brody, Jennifer Esposito, Mira Sorvino. Something about that cast doesn't sound quite Spike Lee-ish.
It is an entire cast of white people.
It is.
With a speck or two.
Yes, a literal speck.
A literal speck, like blink, and you'll miss the speck.
Mm-hmm. That is our show for you tonight. The movie that we will be reviewing from our new home, the new YUNKJunk home here, still in Manayunk, but it's a whole new world. But still streaming live to you, in each and every one of you out there on YouTube and Facebook and all points north, south, east, and west. And shout out to each and every one of you who are joining us as we stream live in our chat room. Hello, Missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Hello, Vincent. Hello, Dylan, back there, still running the show.
Hello.
How you doing, Vincent?
Good. I'm good, you know.
How was your weekend?
Not bad. So what did I do this weekend? I said, I should mention that to Len. Now I can't recall. Although I did see that PBS masterpiece, or they have like that show, Great Performances, or they're going to show Pearly.
Oh, the original.
They're going to show Pearly Victorious. So I believe in March or May. I know it's a month that starts with MA.
Now, are they showing the?
No, our Pearly Victorious, the one with Cara Young and.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you? That's funny because I just this weekend was looking to see. I was curious whether or not anybody had optioned it for a movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything like that. So it's going to show on greater. I
said with Cara Young, I guess I should have mentioned
Leslie Odom, the star.
Also Leslie Odom Jr.
Yes. The man above the title.
Right. As Pearly.
Pearly Victorious.
Who is victorious?
Vincent, can I tell you? Mm-hmm. Because you were the first one to put me down with this play. Me and my partner have been doing Cara Young's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Pearly.
Oh.
We've been doing that voice since January.
Right. Well, now when we get the actual details, it is required viewing for all of the missionaries.
Is definitely required.
So we will let you all know.
Oh, that's so dope.
Yeah.
This weekend it was Valentine's weekend, and I spent Valentine's weekend in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Where I was very happy to take my partner to see the Cat Williams concert.
Okay.
At Boardwalk Hall.
Very nice.
Let me tell you, Cat Williams has not lost his fastball.
I mean, I think we're saying lost it. Like, I think he stays at fighting weight.
He does.
Like, I think he's a comedian that never stops.
Yeah. He was lights out. He was incredible. It was it was great show. He was funny. He was with it. He didn't reference the Shannon Sharpe interview at all. He didn't even make mention of like, I know you all came out here because of that.
Sure.
He made no mention of it at all.
Well, again, there is no moss that grows under his feet. So that was what, a month ago?
A little over, actually.
Right. So he strikes me as a comedian that is continually creating material. And he references that on the interview where he says he writes material like he is a comedian.
Yeah, always writing, always in writing.
So that doesn't surprise me at all.
He killed it. He brought out Mark Curry, who he references. That is the only reference to the interview is that Mark Curry is on tour with him. Right. And it's been forever since I saw Mark Curry, and I don't think if I remember seeing Mark Curry in stand up, I don't remember anything he did.
I don't have any knowledge of his stand-up.
He was funny as well.
Right.
He definitely he's a different type of comedian, more of a storyteller. Than I think Cat is, and definitely a more laid back. He's older.
Yeah, and I think he might be a comedian's comedian.
He is.
You can see that other people speak of Mark Curry very respectfully.
Yeah,
and he was definitely in the mix.
You could see that,
80s.
but he was still he was on point. He was funny. He brought out Tommy Davidson.
Okay,
who a friend of our show,
friend of the show, Tommy Davidson.
He was funny as well.
Okay,
had a couple of local comedians that were on point, and Monique, who I recently announced to be joining this tour, was there for 15 minutes to introduce Cat Williams.
Yeah.
And she was there. I did not personally. She didn't do a set. Like I said, she was only on stage for about 15 minutes. And it was a very. It was more of a rant than throwing any jokes.
Well, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because you saw her right in the midst of this very public, very ugly back and forth between her and her estranged son.
Yes, which she references at the top of her appearance, talking about seeing him on her way to Atlantic City, seeing something that he had just dropped on TikTok.
Which, in some ways, you kind of see where this started with this very quickly emerging Shannon Sharpe culture where people say things publicly and then other people respond like the whole Cat Williams thing, from what I understand, because I have to say I'm not a big Shannon Sharpe listener like everybody else. I listen to the Cat Williams episode, but Cat Williams says basically people mentioned my name.
Yeah.
And then I responded. And then when Monique was on there, she did reference her relationship with this estranged son, which then I guess gave him license. Like, if you talk about me publicly, then I can talk about you publicly. And now she responds to him publicly. And I'm from the school of like, everybody knows everybody's phone number and everybody knows where everybody is, and everybody doesn't have to be like my mother. My mother used to be so proud of the fact that my parents lived at the same address, like our whole life. And I remember like Baltimore got a new area code, and we had to change our phone number when I was like 17. And I remember my mother was hot like fish grease because very adamant. Where I am. If you need me, like you have something to say to me, where I am. And I said all that to say, like, I know both Monique and her son seem like they know where each other is.
They know how to connect.
That I don't have to hear about it.
Exactly. So, especially when it gets to a certain point.
Right.
When it gets to that,
like nobody is winning.
No.
At this point.
And it's one thing when it's comedians talking about comedians,
which is the other thing.
You're two public figures.
There you go.
Talking about each other. But once you start bringing family into
there you go.
Into that, man, like, yo, like Let's leave that alone.
Right. And again, I want to extend Monique a level of grace, even with her son, because I do get the sense that she's hurting.
You're right, because that is what came across in just, again, short 15 minutes. And I thought it was interesting. There was another comedian that was on the set. Takara Williams, I believe is her name. And her whole bit was about, her and her relationship with her daughter, right? Never mentions her daughter by name, but it's a bit about her and her daughter. Her daughter's a teenager and whatever. And she definitely is in the Cat Williams school. There's F-bombs and words flowing left and right, but it is jokes. It is 100% jokes. And you can see, despite that she's delivering it expertly, and she's saying certain things, you can tell that it is still jokes. Her tongue is firmly in her cheek.
Sure.
And that there is no doubt that she has a strong relationship with her daughter.
Sure.
That this is what it is. This is what comedy is.
Sure.
She came on probably about an hour before Monique. And then when Monique comes on and starts, like I said, she begins with this talking about the son. I'm expecting, okay, she's going to do, her version of what the other comedian.
Where you kind of hear the love underneath.
There was no love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, even those clips had, like I told you on our way in, I said, "Oh, you were at that show."
Yeah, I didn't even know that it could bubble up like that.
Those clips have been floating around, and again, whatever she needs to get some kind of peace, I want her to get it.
No, I do too. But you bring up another point.
Okay.
Being at this show, we have heard historically that Dave Chappelle, and I think Chris Rock does this now too, that a lot of their shows, they confiscate people's phones.
Yes.
So that you can't be recording it.
Yeah.
I can understand why. Because at this show, there were so many people that are literally recording the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like before in the early days of like camera phones and stuff like this, where you were recording stuff maybe for your own entertainment value. Yeah. Now people are there because now people are recording this stuff because they need content for their profile, for their social media presence, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever happened to just going to a show
and just enjoying this moment,
enjoying this live presentation?
Yeah.
It's, I hate to say it, it's like, is it a missed art? Is it an art that is come and gone?
Look, I think there's something to it. I think we are very, very dangerously close to old man shakes fist at cloud.
But you know what? But I don't think.
But I do think there is something to the commentary of, do people enjoy things anymore?
Exactly.
In the moment. Or like even, you spend so much time recording that
you're not even taking in the experience.
You take in the experience.
And then there are people who now, because of social media, even life becomes a screen as opposed to an experience.
Sure.
So they're looking at what's happening, but they can't shut up and look at and listen to it, because there was a group of about 4 dudes behind us at the show who, thankfully, it wasn't too bad, but dog, they had a running commentary going on through almost a lot of these sets. I'm like, dog, like, we're sitting on top of each other. You're not at home watching this on TV.
Certainly, we've talked about this at this point. My best friend Cliff has a theory that the advent of the VCR in a lot of ways ruined going out to see performances, particularly specifically, we were talking about movies.
Okay.
But I think this extends to what you're saying. And he said the problem with the VCR is that it demystified the theater.
Right.
Because you could watch films in your home.
In your home. You create a theater experience.
So first of
in your
all,
house.
it demystified the theater experience.
Yes.
B, because of the nature of a home entertainment system, you can pause it, which means that if someone talks over it, it's not as much of a chance that someone
you're missing anything.
Right, someone's going to say I'm missing, because you can rewind it and do all of this. Because of just the interaction.
And now you can pause live TV.
Well, because the interactive nature of home entertainment, that has you've seen that spill over to when you go out in public. And as I said, because he said the VCR, he's been saying that for like 25 years.
Probably longer than that.
But whenever the VCR, right. And I tend to agree with him because you do go places. Dang, look, we've been to a couple of plays now. Like, I've been to a couple of plays. So we went and saw the Temptations play downtown over the holidays. Where else did we go? We saw another play.
Was it Pearly?
It wasn't Pearly. It was another play that we saw. And then, speaking of my boys, we take our daughters to go see Alvin Ailey every year.
That's right.
And we went and saw Alvin Ailey this year. And I've noticed over the past year, and I don't know if the pandemic broke people's brains, but people are so loud. In public, like at the theater, like at the risk of sounding like a Tyler Perry villain all of a sudden, I say, why can't these people conduct themselves with some type of dignity at the theater? But it really is. Like, why are you yelling? And I know that's right. At Alvin, like we're in Alvin Alley, like
it's at Alvin,
like. Like, I love Revelation as much as you love it. But what are you doing right now? Like, we're watching the dancers. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Now I'm full. Now I'm talking about you, but now I've gone full scale. Old man shakes his fist at the cloud.
Your fist is in the air.
Yeah.
I'm asking a question. Your fist is like,
So,
well, we're going to do our part, ladies and gentlemen, to try and bring back that theater experience on March 20th.
Oh, that was a nice transition.
Okay, it's better when you don't point it out.
I'm sorry.
At the Bryn Mawr Film Institute.
Sometimes I see the craft up close. One time we went and saw Stevie Wonder, and do you remember it was a group called For Real? Do you remember For Real?
Yes, I do remember For Real.
The group For Real. So like when In Vogue came out, it was a bunch of those groups that came out, and there was a group called For Real. And remember their hook was they all had short little naturals.
Yes.
For Real sang backup for Stevie Wonder at this concert that we saw him, and at one point, two of them just stopped singing.
Okay.
Because Stevie Wonder was so good at what Stevie Wonder does, and they were close to Stevie Wonder.
They forgot where they were.
They just stopped singing. They were just sitting on the stool watching Stevie Wonder up close. And that's what it is. Like, sometimes you're so good at the craft of producing and creating that I get to see it in real time.
Well, thank you. And you'll be able to see it in real time too, ladies and gentlemen.
See, you did it again.
20th.
See, you did it again. That's Len Webb, ladies and gentlemen. Len Webb.
March 20th at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute.
You got to transition from me clapping. I'm going to clap. Can you transition from me clap? Len Webb, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Please keep your applause going as the Micheaux mission presents itself at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute on March 20th as we kick off the Be Real Micheaux screening series, as we will be screening Pariah from 2011 on Wednesday, March 20th at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute in beautiful Bryn Mawr, PA, ladies and gentlemen. It's a partnership between the Micheaux Mission and the Be Real Black Cinema Club. It is going to be a fantastic night. We are going to have Pariah on the huge screen. We are going to also have a local filmmaker and a local short film that we are going to be hopefully announcing next week. We're in negotiations right now. We're going to have as well our stock in trade, soft pretzels for everyone, ladies and gentlemen. But even more than that, we are going to be promoting the Be Real Micheaux screening series as a night out on the town. So come dress in your finest, because we'll be dressed in our finest as well for a night out in Bryn Mawr to watch Pariah. Tickets are on sale right now. Go to brynmarfilm.org for more information.
Absolutely. Tickets are on sale. We sold out last time.
I know we sold out at City Winery. You know. Let's see what's happening here. And from what I understand, because the voting was Pariah versus How Stella Got Her Groove Back to be what was going to be the film. Mm-hmm. Pariah won a 2-to-1 ratio.
So we've got fans. The film has fans.
We got huge. So much so, here's a quick anecdote before we get into the rest of the show.
Okay.
I was talking to my nephew, came over this past week because I'm showing his son, who is 7 years old. I'm teaching him how to kind of like do podcasting.
Oh,
I gave him like his own microphone that we came and set up. And I'm going to teach him how to do podcasting because we're all going to get together in April to see to watch WrestleMania. They're huge wrestling fans. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have him set up on the microphone so that he can be interviewing everybody while we're watching WrestleMania.
Oh,
yeah. It's got to do something for the little kid. So anyway, so they're there, and I'm showing them everything, and my nephew, his father, sees our flyer in the house, and he said, "Yo, man, you famous, Unc?" I'm like, "What do you mean I'm famous?" I'm like, I'm not famous. He's like, "I had your flyer at my job at my desk, and this guy that works at my job who I don't even really know said, 'Yo, that's a Micheaux mission. That's Len and Vincent.'" He's like, "What you know about Len and Vincent?" He's like, "That's my uncle." He's like, "That ain't your uncle." I said, "That is so my uncle. That's my uncle." He's, "That's my boys. They had a show this. I couldn't make it to their last screening. I think they got a new one coming up." "What's a new one?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." It's like, "He ain't your uncle." So he said, "You got to tell me when the screening is, man."
Just so I can go
and tell him.
Right. He is my uncle.
He is my uncle.
There you go.
So that was a cool anecdote. Yes. It was dope, right? That's dope. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep things moving right along, and we're going to hear from you. It is time for our missives from the missionaries.
So what else is going on, Len?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, Vincent. We have an email from Corey P.
Hey, what's up, Corey?
"Hi, Len and Vince. You may or may not receive this email, but I won't be before you long." Oh, you may not receive this email before an event, but anyway.
Okay.
I remember a few weeks ago, there was a debate about who was the most impactful between Robert Townsend and Tyler Perry. Mm-hmm. Very good and insightful conversation. I feel like Robert Townsend has a slight edge over Tyler Perry. For a director to be impactful, in my opinion, one who has to have a body of work that will be talked about for years later. Robert Townsend's directorial movie, Hollywood Shuffle, is a quintessential Black film and to this day influential. I feel like Tyler Perry doesn't have a body of work that is deemed influential. Hollywood Shuffle has left a mark on young Black creators to bring important issues like being Black in Hollywood as an actor. It's beautiful to see Robert Townsend receive his flowers. He actually appeared on a recent interview on the Questlove Supreme.
It is so funny that I'm listening to that right now.
It's a really good episode that I enjoyed, and I hope you get a chance to listen to it. Your fan Corey P. You're listening to his.
I'm in the midst, because it's like a 2-hour interview, and I'm maybe a half hour in. I'm in the midst of listening to it, and he's absolutely correct.
Corey,
I think Corey is absolutely correct. It's a great interview. A. B. Questlove and his team giving flowers to Robert Townsend is so wonderful, because you realize just how much Robert Townsend has contributed.
Yeah.
To the culture.
Yes.
And to everything. And I agree with Corey P about the reach of something like Hollywood Shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, you can't, there's no argument that Tyler Perry is a more successful director.
Yeah.
As far as the craft of directing, there's an argument to be made. They may be about the same, on the same level.
I think.
Well, I would give the edge to Robert Townsend.
Yeah.
I would give the edge to Robert Townsend. But I mean, I only say that because we have been critical of some Robert Townsend directorial.
We haven't been this critical if we have been of Tyler Perry.
Very true. Very true. But still, we have been critical. The difference, though, I will say is, it's just like you were saying, like Mark Curry is the comedian's comedian. I think Robert Townsend, regardless of what you may think of his craft or his body of work, or the quality of it, is a director's director.
Yeah.
And maybe even more to the point, a producer's producer. Yeah. Because you got to remember that Hollywood Shuffle, yes, he directed, but he produced that as well. So it's all about how really to make your mark and build up the creating of a film, as well as the creating of a career in Hollywood. And I think that is where definitely his influence is been most impactful. And I agree, he definitely is a man deserving of his flowers.
Yeah.
Deserving of his flowers.
Yeah, and along with that, kind of like what you, I think, we're alluding to with Mark Curry, I get the sense that when you are in the hurly-burly of Hollywood and you're Black, Robert Townsend gives good counsel.
Yes.
You know, not just how to direct, but just general good counsel. Like he is someone who has been around a really long time. Like he talked about being an extra in Mahogany. And you know he's in Cooley High for 30 seconds. But also he seems like he has a really generous spirit. So
yeah. And still doing good work because he shows up in The Bear.
And he was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Like we talk about him as a director, and we talked about this when we reviewed Harlem Shuffle. Like
Hollywood Shuffle.
Hollywood Shuffle. Like I think he has a really charming / charismatic film presence. Like just his presence. So yeah. Thumbs up, Robert Townsend.
Thumbs up, Robert Townsend.
Thank you, Corey.
All right, we got another email, Vincent.
Okay.
From Michael Lockett.
Hey, Michael.
Subject line is, "Oh, hell nah."
Oh, no.
What's up, fellas? Before I say word one about Vampire in Brooklyn and Flashdance.
Boy, I love putting these episodes together.
I know that's how Michael's doing it. I love it. I am respectfully asking the kind gentleman smack talking truck Turner to cease and desist. The film is entertaining on so many levels, and for his own sense of peace, I must remind him that pimps smack.
No.
Now, I was hoping to find a connection between Vampire in Brooklyn and Flashdance and came up with zero. It would be scary if you came up with one, Michael. Vampire in Brooklyn, I remember it being better than it was. I'm an oldish head and saw it in the theaters. On the rewatch, it comes off like Wes Craven and Eddie Murphy testing stuff out on other people's dime for later projects. Flashdance, to me, is not a black film, as I think if you did put Demi Moore or another young, racially ambiguous actress of the time in it, they could have pulled it off, especially with the three body doubles. The film doesn't center any aspect of blackness to me. Fair point. Mm-hmm. Finally, on the topic of recruitment for the team, if you two headed the trade delegation, who are some of our more problematic folks, aka Stacey Dash, that you might want to part with, and who would we want back in return? All the best, Michael Lockett.
Yeah, I hate this game.
So you don't want to play?
Yes, because look. Maybe y'all's families are perfect. Maybe y'all got perfect families. It's effed up people in my family. It's still my family.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stacey Dash and Clarence Thomas and Negro du jour that I don't like. I don't like them. I'm not trading nobody. Likewise, conversely, Lord knows I love some Tina Marie and some Hall & Oates. And hell, some David Bowie. But, we can love each other and then give each other a pound and everybody go home at the end of the night.
Who's the boy that,
like, that's me though.
Who's the boy that everybody thought was black that worked with Quincy Jones on all of his albums?
Was in Heat Wave.
Yeah. What was his name?
I just lost him.
Was it Temperton? No,
Rod Temperton.
Was it Rod Temperton?
Rod Temperton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rod Temperton.
Yeah, I don't like this game either. But I would pass Clarence Thomas. I would kick him out of the cookout.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to kick him out, but
I would kick him out of the cookout.
As some cousins, you do have to take around the corner from the family reunion and beat their ass.
That would be Clarence Thomas.
But then you come back to the family reunion.
Does he though?
Yeah. And like your parents and your uncles, and so everybody pretends they don't see the bruises on them.
I don't know Clarence Thomas, dog.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think Clarence Thomas might be, what was that Dave Chappelle bit, The Blind Man? He was a member of the KKK.
Clayton Bigsby.
I think that's Clarence Thomas.
Bigsby, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But all right, you said so.
Right.
Last email, this is from Michael Sykes.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Len and Vincent. There are some movies I know somewhere down the line y'all are going to review, such as Money Talks starring Chris Tucker, Most Wanted with Keenen Ivory Wayans, Fled with Lawrence Fishburne and Stephen Baldwin, and Low Down Dirty Shame. Len, I know you're very picky with movies, so I can't wait.
Only when he hasn't had a nap. Sometimes he hasn't had a Snickers.
So I can't wait. I just had a bunch of Snickers melt in my pocket that I just had to throw out.
See, if you'd eaten them, you would have liked King of New York more.
No, the problem was I had a hand warmer in my pocket, and I forgot that I had Snickers in there. And I reached for a Snicker. I was like,
Right.
Anyway, Len, I know you're very picky with movies, so I can't wait till y'all review The Players Club starring Ice Cube, because I know for a fact you won't like that movie. And if you do, it will surprise me. Love, your fan, Michael Sykes.
I think he's saying you're a hater.
You know, I don't like this narrative.
Hey, man, look,
because it's not a fair narrative.
300 plus episodes speak for themselves.
What? The greater, I enjoyed the greater number of our films.
All I said was 300 plus episodes speak for themselves. Now, whatever they say is what they say.
Now, that being said, I have actually never seen The Players Club.
Okay.
So I don't know whether or not I will like it.
Okay.
So I do look forward to
Okay.
seeing The Players Club.
I have seen The Players Club. I don't know how much I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
Okay.
So.
All right.
All right.
I don't lose my black card because I haven't seen The Players Club, right? That's not one of those things.
Something else. Black cards and I think it's stuff people should know.
Well, there's some things that people should.
Right.
Well, you always think people are dubious about their black card anyway.
Right.
You're like, think it's a myth or whatever.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right. That's our emails, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. If you have thoughts of your own that you want to share with us, please feel free to email us at the Micheaux Mission at gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION at gmail.com. Ashy Feet is in the chat. What can I say about Len? Some people need to be taken behind the building and dealt with, but he can come to the cookout. What you saying? Like, what you trying to say, dog? Like, I don't even like what you implying. What?
We are in the middle of a show.
Let's go to the top five.
Top five.
Top five. Who's your top five? My top five is. My top five is. My top five is. My top five is.
Top five, ladies and gentlemen, where I give Vincent a list and he gives us his scintillating commentary right here on our new set here at YUNKJunk. Hope you're enjoying the view, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent, we're going to keep this in theme.
Okay.
We are reviewing The Summer of Sam tonight.
Yes, we are.
Your film, which, it remains to be seen, is one of the better films to feature the name Summer in its title.
Summer in the title.
However, there are some more dubious films that have had Summer in the title.
Okay.
And I'm not picking on any like real stupid low rent type of films.
Okay.
But just some strange films.
Okay. There's someone I'm thinking about. I wonder if it's going to make the list.
Probably not.
Okay.
But
all right.
This is my top five summer smellers, because they're not stinkers.
They just smell.
They just smell
A little musty.
A little musty.
A little musty. Smell like out. You ever come in from playing and your mother tell you smell like outside?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. These are films that smell like outside.
They smell outside.
Smell like outside. Come in. Mother tell you smell like outside. That was, boy, your mom tell you smell like outside. That was now the end of the day's activity.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah. Because next was go get in the tub.
The bad part is when you wake up and you smell like outside.
Oh, see, that's no good.
Yeah. I've unfortunately had that happen. Anyway, number five.
Number five.
From 1985.
Okay.
Summer Rental.
Okay.
An American comedy film directed by Carl Reiner.
Oh.
And starring John Candy and Richard Crenna. Also features supporting roles with Rip Torn, Karen Austin, a very young John LaRoquette, and Joey Lawrence.
Wow.
It tells the story of an overworked air traffic controller who is put on a 5 weeks paid leave and take his family to the fictional resort town of Citrus Cove, Florida, as he experiences hilarious mishaps and contends with an arrogant sailing champion. Variety described the film as more a collection of bits about taking the family to the shore for the summer than a coherent story, and noted that it appeal lays in John Candy's elevation of certain segments. John Candy, however, noted in 1986 to Gene Siskel, "We shot the movie too fast," and it was not necessarily a fan of the work of Summer Rental, a film that I actually saw in real time in the theaters because I was a huge John Candy fan.
Yeah.
Huge John Candy fan. And man could not do wrong by me except for Summer Rental.
Oh, so it's not good.
It just doesn't it doesn't work. And I think it's because for the most part in this film, he plays like a straight man.
Okay.
And John Candy, he can definitely be straight, but his best performances are where he's a little off kilter. You know, you think of Uncle Buck, you think about Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, you know, and some of his more supporting work in other films. He's always like a little bit off kilter. And when he's like the straight man, it doesn't work, especially because he's not surrounded with anyone else that necessarily is very funny on his level.
Right.
John Larroquette is a good actor.
Right. He should have played the straight man.
He should have played the straight man.
Just from the cast you just said.
Exactly.
Oh, that's too bad. That sounds like a real missed opportunity.
It is a missed opportunity, especially with Carl Reiner.
I was about to say in the director's chair. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's number 5.
Number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4.
From 1965.
Okay.
Set during the beach party genre.
All right.
This is A Swingin' Summer.
Swingin' Summer.
Which stars Raquel Welch in her first featured film role.
Interesting.
A trio of college kids, all friends of each other, attempt to ensure summer jobs for themselves by becoming concert promoters at a lakeside dance pavilion that is in danger of closing. The tagline for the film, they're loving, laughing, and living it up, and for kicks playing chicken on water skis. And spread out the beach towels, grab your gals, it's gonna be a swinging summer. Yeah, this is not a good film. It's not a good film.
You've seen this?
I actually have seen this film. You're going to ask me why?
No. On a scale of 1 to beach blanket bingo.
It's worse than Beach Blanket, but it's because it's just not funny. It's just not funny. And Raquel Welch she's good in it, but Raquel Welch, she's more the presence.
I mean, I'm assuming they put her in a bikini.
They put her in a bikini, and she looks good in a bikini, and she's so much like she's not the star of the film. She's like about 7th build. Yeah, but realizing that to sell this to an overseas market, right, they put her above the title in Italy and feature her on the poster. She's not even on. It's a cartoon of kids on the movie poster here in the U.S. It doesn't sell. It tried to be on the beach in that beach blanket era, and 1965 is already coming to the end of it. Yeah, so it's kind of like missed the boat a little bit. Yeah, and it's just weak. And I actually, the reason why I watched it is because years ago I did a story about those movies. Yeah, oh yeah. So I had to watch them, before I could talk about them, and so I can say that this is not a good time.
I have a soft spot for those movies.
For all of them, or for Beach Blanket Bingo?
No, for all of them, because I know Beach Blanket Bingo is like the Ben-Hur right of the beach movies. Right. But is it really that much better than any of them? No. Right. I mean, they're all just kind of there, and it's kind of, kind of blindingly vanilla.
The only reason Beach Blanket Bingo...
And it's kind of bit by bit, and
The only reason it gets elevated is because of Frankie Avalon
and Annette
Funicello. They definitely have a chemistry,
right?
That
now, how many didn't they make 2 or 3 movies?
I think they
together?
did. They did about 2 other ones that definitely don't hold up.
Right, and then they did the ski movie.
Yeah, they tried to extend this.
Right. And I always kind of keep, full disclosure, I keep the ski movie in my back pocket because James Brown is in it.
And James Brown.
So like I always, it's always
right. He's actually where's the movie where they actually see him filming it? That's it. That's it because he tells what's Frankie? What's the white boy's name? Frankie Avalon?
Frankie Avalon.
Right.
He makes Frankie Avalon call him Mr. Brown.
That's right.
I've heard Frankie Avalon tell that story too.
Yeah. All right. So that's a swinging summer, ladies and gentlemen.
Swinging summer.
Number 3. This movie I have not seen.
Okay.
But it does not sound like a good time. It's from 1974.
Okay.
Hot Summer in Barefoot County. In Barefoot County,
this film could go so many ways.
Hot Mama. Well, first of all, this is produced and distributed by Preacher Man Corporation. Remember that.
Okay. All right.
Hot Summer in Barefoot County is produced and distributed by Preacher Man Corporation.
Okay.
The synopsis.
Okay.
In Barefoot County, Hot Mama Mary Ann Hogan runs successfully the family's moonshine business.
Sure.
Much to Sheriff Bull Tatum's annoyance, who has been trying for months to shut it down. Under those circumstances, and without further delay, the police headquarters decide to send the handsome officer Jeff Wilson as an undercover agent down to Barefoot County to make an investigation. But before long, Jeff will meet Mama Stella Holcomb's curvaceous and sensational daughters, who don't plan to surrender easily.
All right now.
Oh my God.
I have to say this movie sounds pretty awesome so far.
After the film's success in North Carolina and South Carolina.
Oh, not both the Carolinas.
Both the Carolinas.
Both the Carolinas.
Both the Carolinas. It was sold out theaters.
Right.
The General Film Distributors picked up the distribution rights to distribute the movie into further American states such as Georgia, Florida,
well, of course,
Alabama,
yeah,
and Tennessee.
All right, I'm sensing a pattern.
Yes, where Hot Summer in Barefoot County, a film that features not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 gratuitous scenes.
All right.
Of full frontal female nudity.
All right.
Was a hit in the southern states in the 1970s.
Okay. Sorry, Len, this one sounds kind of awesome.
It does not sound awesome.
Sounds kind of awesome.
Are you going to watch it? Are you going to now go looking for a Hot Summer in Barefoot County?
I might look it up in somebody else's browser, though.
That's the point.
I'm going to use my browser, but yeah.
Number two of the top 5 summer smellers. A little musty. From 1998.
Okay.
This is actually a film directed by Michael Anderson based on the children's novel of the same name. It is the family adventure drama Summer of the Monkeys.
Summer of the Monkeys.
Yes.
This sounds horrifying.
Produced by Disney.
In
the summer of 1910, a group of circus monkeys named Henri, Jacques, Antoinette, and Dominique.
Are they French circus monkeys?
Escape from a French circus due to a train wreck and end up in the Oklahoma River bottoms
as
where the main character, J. Barry Lee, lives with his family.
I don't know, Len. This one also sounds kind of awesome. Like, I'm really digging this setup so far.
Common Sense Media gave the movie 4 out of 5 stars, where it gained an A+ rating, stating that its adventurous family drama is okay for older kids. However, in a negative review, Leonard Cladley of Variety wrote, "While the sentiments are noble, the storytelling is banal and predictable. The script by Greg Teller and Jim Strain is cookie cutter clean and shamelessly telegraphs its points."
What in the world can be predictable about a script about escaped French circus monkeys? And where'd you say
In
Oklahoma? I have no idea where this is going. Like, you told me that setup, and if you said "and," like we were in improv, and I was like, yeah,
I'm good.
I got nothing.
I've got nothing. I'm here.
This sort of lives on its own. Okay.
Yeah, that I don't know. Again, it's just a musty smell to this American Canadian venture.
You know what? We used to be a proper country. We made movies in this country.
We made Summer of Monkeys.
It's
Hot
not
Barefoot in Summer County.
It's not attached to no franchise.
It's not.
There's not
there's
a
no sequel.
multimedia.
There's no sequel to any of these movies.
Right.
You're right.
Somebody sat in a room and said, "I found a book about escaped French circus monkeys," and somebody said, "Say no more. Let me write you a check."
That is very true. That is what happened. That is exactly what happened. Number one of the top 5 summer smellers from 1978, an American comedy film directed by Martin Davidson.
All right, is this it?
I don't think this is it.
Go ahead.
Because you're thinking of a movie that has a car in the title.
Yes, I am.
That's not
too
a
easy.
smeller.
That's too easy. I don't know. It's not, well, go ahead. Tell me what number 1 is.
Number 1 is Almost Summer.
Okay.
Set in a generic Southern California high school, the plot revolves around a student council election that stirs up assorted petty jealousies among various characters. Though not successful at the box office, the film has since acquired a certain degree of historical importance, as many consider it to be the first of a series of distinctive youth genre films, of which prominent examples include Fast Times at Ridgemont High and The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
The best known actors to star in this film are Bruno Kirby and Tim Matheson.
Okay.
It also
I think I saw this.
Also features a young Didi Khan and John Friedrich in this film, which is historic for another reason.
Okay.
It is the only theatrical feature not to center on African American characters produced by Motown Productions.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Almost Summer.
And of course, you thought I was thinking about Corvette Summer.
You're right.
Which is, of course, the follow-up that Mark Hamill made after Star Wars.
Which I think I watched a couple of times.
It's not bad. If Mark Hamill wasn't in it, it would have been forgotten completely.
It would have been forgotten completely. Right. And if he hadn't done Star Wars before, it wouldn't be such a a thing. But things like that happen.
Sure.
So no, that's why I didn't pick on.
Okay, that's fair.
Corvette Summer. But I did think that was interesting that Motown produced this movie.
So by that account, appropriately enough, during this
because their last movie is
they're saying that thank God it's Friday, because I guess Donna Summer is the star.
She's kind of like the star,
in that dude. It's like Donna Summer in that dude.
I think thank God it's Friday is considered more of an ensemble.
It's definitely. Yeah, it's definitely an ensemble.
Because Donna Summer is the star because she's the star that came out of the movie. Right. But it is really more of an ensemble.
Yeah.
This is all.
It's just all white people. No, it is. Yeah, you're right.
So that makes it stand above.
Okay, fair enough.
The rest. So,
all right.
So that's my top 5 summer
Like you
smellers.
said, a little musty.
Just a little musty.
Little
Not
musty.
just, dubious.
A little yeah.
I would say. But you sound like you are about to run out to your local Blockbuster.
Hey man, escaped French circus monkeys.
So Summer of the Monkeys.
Summer of the Monkeys.
You gonna fire that up for Charcuterie Friday?
Perhaps. Summer seems like a really long time for the monkeys to be loose. Like the whole summer? Like Week of the Monkeys is a comedy. Once you get to 2 months, now it's a horror movie.
Now it's a horror movie.
Right.
And yet you are going to rent it.
Well, it sounds interesting.
Well, maybe it's on Disney Plus.
Maybe I bet it's not. I bet it's not.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'll take that bet. All right.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the top 5. It is now time for what is affectionately known as the Game of Kings.
That's right.
As we present 6 Degrees of Derville Martin.
Man, that it's never ending summer.
No, it's not.
With just a sensitive touch and a sensitive sound.
6 Degrees of Derville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where I give Vincent 2 actors and he has 6 films or less to connect them to Derville Martin, that man of the never-ending summer of the 70s fame. Vincent, keeping in theme,
Okay.
we are going to be reviewing Summer of Sam, which stars John Leguizamo,
Yes, it does.
whose initials are JL.
Yes, they are.
Another actor whose initials are JL, who I am asking you to connect to Derville Martin in 6 movies or less, is one John Lovitz.
John Lovitz.
Mm-hmm.
Think about John Lovitz in movies.
And yet he's been in a fair number of them.
Problem is, he's in that Saturday Night Live cohort.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. It's like
Then, like, what movies?
he was there with like Dana Carvey and there with Mike Myers.
I think he is around that time.
I don't know if he's in Wayne's World. He's not in. It's also like, was he there with Phil Hartman?
I'll tell you that he's not in Wayne's World.
You know what?
He is in a movie that you love, though.
Phil Hartman made me think. Is he part of the crew of all those insanely talented people that they don't use at all in Jumpin' Jack Flash? Remember, she worked at the office and it's like Phil Hartman and like 90,000 of those early 80s comedians, and they're in like 3 scenes. And then like they say, oh, we don't need this. We got Jumpin' Jack Flash going on. Is he in Jumpin' Jack Flash?
He's in Jumpin' Jack Flash. That was
Okay.
the movie I was alluding to there.
Okay. All right. Okay, bet.
Good memory.
Well, remember, it was like
I remember
It was so bizarre.
I was remember, but
Right.
but it's easily forgotten. so,
yeah. Well, again, I knew it was a bunch of them people in that room.
because we pointed out,
Right. And then the director was like, Phil Hartman and John Lovitz. We don't need them. But, okay, I'll do it like this. Oh, this will be fun. I was thinking about this the other day, a film that featured syphilis. It's like, it's so weird that movie was about syphilis because Derville Martin is in the final come down with Billy D. Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Billy D. Williams is in the Scott Joplin story
Oh yes,
with Margaret Avery. Margaret Avery is in The Color Purple with Whoopi Goldberg, who's in Jumpin' Jack Flash. with John Lovitz.
John Lovitz. Very good, Vincent.
John Lovitz.
Well done. Well done. All right.
Initials.
What
else is John Lovitz in?
Oh, he's in...
what's another movie he's in that I would have known about? Or that I should have known about?
That same year as Jumping Jack Flash, he appears in Three Amigos. He appeared...
Three Amigos?
He's got an appearance in Three Amigos. He's in Big, Tom Hanks movie.
I have no memory of him. And truth be told, I don't have much memory about Big.
The movie that you probably... I think it's safe to say you saw, City Slickers 2, because he replaces Bruno Kirby's character died. Bruno Kirby died. So he's in the sequel to City Slickers.
Bruno Kirby is not in City Slickers 2?
He died in between.
I'm finding out right now Bruno Kirby died. Did I know Bruno Kirby died?
Yeah, he died tragically very, very early.
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Was it accidental? Was he sick?
I can't remember exactly.
God, am I finding out Bruno Kirby?
You all this time you thought he was still kind of doing things?
I thought he just sort of stopped making movies.
Oh no.
It's sort of like my man who's in it. Not what's the other dude? Daniel. Vincent, right, the other City Slicker.
Vincent, I'm doing like 9 things at the same time here. Bruno Kirby died in 2006, so actually he didn't die in between there. So maybe he just didn't want to be doing City Slickers 2.
Are you sure he's not in City Slickers 2?
No, he's not. It says I knew that John Lovitz replaced him. A sequel to City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold, was released in 1994 with the same cast, with the exception of Kirby, who was replaced by John Lovitz.
Right, I thought he was like, and who's the other Slicker? Daniel
Stern.
Yeah, I thought like Daniel Stern just kind of done make movies. Oh my God, Daniel Stern isn't dead, is he?
Daniel Stern is still very much alive.
Okay, good.
He's still alive.
All right.
He's still alive.
Okay.
But yes, Bruno Kirby passed in 2006.
Well, that's too bad.
But Bruno Kirby famously is a guy who I know is very particular about his roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see him doing City Slickers. And City Slickers is a good movie.
Oh, absolutely. Solid.
But it's probably a movie that hits above its weight. Like, because it had every reason to be just a piece of, just fluff.
Look, it's during that pocket. It's during that Billy Crystal pocket where Billy Crystal, frankly, was like...
He was becoming like the $20 million man.
And I think everything that you just said, like every movie that Billy Crystal was in, City Slickers, Three Amigos, When Harry Met Sally... No, I'm sorry. When Harry Met Sally. What's our movie with
Running Scared?
Running Scared. None of them have any right to be as good as they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Billy Crystal is part of what elevates all of them.
Yeah. And I think I think I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised with knowing how particular Bruno Kirby is that when they come around saying they want to do a sequel of City Slickers, especially when they say, because if you remember, they killed off Jack Palance's character in the first one.
And then brought back his twin.
Yeah. I could see Bruno Kirby reading that and it's like,
yeah, that's real.
Yeah, all right,
I'm not doing
I'm
this.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Because, let's be clear. I really only know him for City Slickers and When Harry Met Sally. And I just love him so much in both of them.
Bruno Kirby? Oh.
Like those are my big two when I think Bruno Kirby.
Oh, wow. You know what? The first film that I go to when I think about Bruno Kirby is The Godfather 2. He plays a young Clemenza.
Oh, he sure does. He sure does. Does he have a mustache?
No, he doesn't have a mustache,
right.
but he's young Clemenza.
All right.
That's my Bruno Kirby.
All right. Rest in peace, Bruno Kirby.
Sorry, Vincent.
I know.
All right, keeping it moving and keeping it in theme.
Okay.
We're reviewing The Summer of Sam, which alongside John Leguizamo stars Adrian Brody, whose initials are AB.
Okay, so now we're doing an A-B.
So in 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to Allison Brie.
Allison Brie.
I literally heard Dylan from behind the control board say, because we know your blind spot by now.
No, well, the bad thing is I really like Allison
I've
Brie,
heard you say that before.
but I really like her because of
TV.
Community.
Yeah.
And Mad Men and the 2 episodes of Glow that I just didn't. But Allison Brie in movies. She was just, speaking of Community, she was just in something with Daniel Purdy, because it was like a little mini Community reunion. And what's his name is in it? Jay Ellis. What's the movie she was just in with Jay Ellis?
I don't know.
What's the last movie she was in?
The last movie she was in was called Freelance.
No, it's a romantic thing.
Somebody I used to know.
Is that Jay Ellis? So somebody I used to know?
Yes.
Bad. Okay.
Is it any good?
I didn't see it, but it was on my list that I wanted to see.
How long is this list?
It's ever growing.
I hear it.
Yeah. This came out a couple of years ago. Okay. So I got to get to Jay Ellis fast because. All right. Okay. All right. Bet. So.
Yeah. What other movies do you know him from?
So, Derville Martin is in The Final Come Down with Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams is in Batman 89 with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is in A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise.
Very good.
Tom Cruise is in Top Gun Maverick with Jay Ellis.
Very good. Very good.
Who's
Vincent.
in Somebody I Used to Know
With Allison
with
Brie.
Allison Brie.
Very good. Very good.
I just watched Top Gun Maverick last week.
How is that?
Boy,
Because I'm not a Maverick, Top
Len,
Gun guy.
you ever watch something and say, oh, I completely see how they got pulled into this shit. Top Gun Maverick is the most dad rock movie. Like when Top Gun Maverick went off, I wanted to go and listen to
Danger Zone.
the Mike Love Beach Boys and eat a 7-layer Frito dip.
It really got to you.
I was a white baby boomer dude when it was
Really?
You completely understand how the white dude who watches World War II documentaries and I listen to Jimmy Buffett, that guy. I don't know if they really and watches what is it, Yellowstone?
Yeah.
I watch Yellowstone. Oh, Top Gun Maverick is absolute. It's like America, fuck yeah, the movie.
Really? But so I just want to make sure you're saying you enjoyed it.
I 100 I turned it on because I was grading papers.
Okay.
And I said I need
So you were turning it on for background.
I turned it on for background, pardon the pun. I actually turned it on for white noise.
Okay.
And as I was grading papers. Boy, Len, that damn Tom Cruise.
It sucked you in.
Damn Tom Cruise.
He got you.
They actually do not make movie stars like Tom Cruise.
No, they don't. Not anymore.
Everything they say, they actually do not make them like Tom Cruise.
I know.
Tom Cruise got his ass in that plane and started doing that Maverick stuff. I said, well, I'd be damned if I'm not pulled in to this damn. And then he's flying the plane and he's on the motorcycle. And then it's Tom Cruise. And ooh, I'm the commanding officer. Ooh, you frustrate me so much, Maverick. Ooh, Maverick, you frustrate me. And it's like two strategically placed black guys who are like, go get him. Go get him. Like, you know, because I'm a black guy in a Tom Cruise movie. Like, my role is to look at Tom Cruise and say, go get him. And then he went and got him.
So I'm curious because you're right.
I enjoyed it. I felt 100% manipulated. Like you could feel it manipulating you.
But that's what movies are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you feel something.
Look. That damn Top Gun Maverick.
I'm curious because you mentioned how Tom Cruise, they don't make stars like him anymore.
They actually don't.
Have they ever made a black star akin to? Because Denzel is probably the closest I'm thinking of, and he's not on.
Well, here's the thing with Denzel Washington. And to be clear, actually, like quietly, I think Tom Cruise is a good actor.
I do too.
But I think Tom Cruise's charisma is actually bigger than his acting skill, which just says how big his charisma is.
Yeah.
I think Denzel Washington's acting is bigger than his charisma.
Okay.
Which says something about how much of an actor he is.
Okay.
There it is. For my money, Denzel Washington is the inverse of Tom Cruise. Like I think he is wildly charismatic. But I just think he's that much like Tom Cruise could not have been in Fences. And Denzel Washington could not have been in this. Like both of these are like the height of your particular skill set.
I remember reading years ago, I think it may have been in GQ. This was years ago when GQ magazine was like, you know, what meant something. And they had mentioned, it was like a listing of like the great superstar, the great stars, acting stars.
Right.
And number 2 was Cary Grant.
Okay.
And they said Cary Grant is the most movie star of actors. He can act.
Yeah.
But his persona is so strong.
Right.
That you can't see past that when he's doing these roles.
Right.
And number 1 was Tom Cruise.
You know what? Usually, you know me. Usually, I grumble about these lists.
But
and
you
these
can't.
White dudes that get together and make these lists. But yeah,
you can't argue with that.
You can't deny them.
No.
Like you.
Even then, and this was like at least 10, 15 years ago.
If you describe Top Gun to me, and certainly Top Gun Maverick, the sequel, there's nothing on earth that this sounds like something that I would be pulled in and be talking about it like this. Like we've now been talking about Top Gun Maverick for however long we've said. Look, I was on the edge of my seat watching a film that I knew exactly what the plot was going to be when the film came on. Because again, ain't no surprises in Top Gun.
Right.
Like you know exactly what it is.
You know where it's going.
But boy, I didn't. Like Len is he gonna make it in the time?
It's like a heist movie. Like remember,
is he gonna win it? Like is he gonna win this dog fight? Is he gonna be able to convince this woman to be with him? Like, can he do it?
Can he do it?
Can he do it?
Won't he do it?
And then you're happy when he did it. Like he actually had, like there was some,
like he did something,
right? But Jay Ellis is in it, and I was happy for him.
Hey, get that money.
I was like, all right, Jay Ellis,
get that chip, man.
I see you in the Top Gun movie.
You had some points on that.
Look, man, probably not, but
yeah.
All right.
I watched Gosford Park.
I bet I had a better time than you did.
No, you didn't.
I 100% had a better time than you did. Because they said you can't make this run in under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was impossible because you pull up in the G-force will press on your chest, and it can't be done. And then Maverick stole a plane, and the commander said, "Oh, Maverick. Maverick!" And then Maverick took the plane, and then he did it under the tom. And then, like, because we can't offend nobody because of the Asian market, they were fighting the enemy. That's a direct quote. The enemy. They never showed their faces.
They just had like the mask on
They
in the
had
plane.
the full mask on, and they had 5th generation fighters, which do something different.
Of course.
Than our fighter planes. And they said, if you run up into them, you already dead because there's nothing our planes can do against a 5th generation fighter. But you know what, Len? Something that comes out in the film. Apparently, it's not about the plane. It's about the pilot. It's about the pilot who sometimes makes a difference, regardless of the plane. And I don't know if so you talk about these 5th generation fighter planes, and then lo and behold, in the 3rd act, some of these 5th generation fighter planes show up.
Mm-hmm. Really?
It's the craziest thing.
Wow.
And then Tom
Imagine
Cruise is in a plane that just so happens to look like the plane that he had in the original Top Gun.
Well, that's not 5th generation. That's
It's
like
not 5th generation at all. And certainly not, it's old.
Yeah.
Probably needs to be retired.
He probably broke it out of a museum.
He basically does. But, not to spoil it, because I know we have people that don't want us to spoil things. But do you know that because Maverick has that American grit, he is able to defeat the 5th generation fighter?
Really?
Returns triumphant.
Well, all right.
Top Gun Maverick.
America.
Gets the girl.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and he gets the girl.
Oh.
Because we didn't know. We didn't know if he was going to get the girl.
We don't know.
He actually gets the girl.
Wow. He's a lucky man. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Where were we? Oh, it's time for...
It is not a black movie.
But what may be a black movie is the film that we're about to review. And that is The Summer of Sam by writer, co-writer, and director Spike Lee. Up next on the Micheaux Mission. Summer of Sam is a 1999 American crime thriller film about the 1977 David Berkowitz, aka Son of Sam, serial murders and their effect on a group of fictional residents of an Italian-American neighborhood in the Bronx in the late 70s. The killer, David Berkowitz, his murders, and the investigations are shown in the film, but the focus is on 2 young men from the neighborhood, Vinny, John Leguizamo, whose marriage is faltering due to his cheating, and Richie, played by Adrian Brody, Vinny's childhood friend who has embraced punk music and fashion. This film, which also stars Mira Sorvino, Jennifer Esposito, and Anthony LaPaglia, features a script written by Victor Colicchio, Michael Imperioli of The Sopranos fame, and a bit role in this film, and a third writer who also doubled as the director, one Spike Lee, in a film that does feature music by one Terrence Blanchard, a frequent collaborator with Spike Lee. Vincent, what say you of this Spike Lee joint, Summer of Sam?
Well, as we've been doing all month, we actually have 2 questions to answer with this film. Our usual question, do we recommend this film? How do we feel about this film critically? And then our question during Black History Month, would this be a black film?
Right.
I think the first question, I'm very fond of this period of Spike Lee filmmaking. So this is the period of He Got Game. I think Bamboozled is the film he makes after this. I lump Get on the Bus, 25th Hour. Like, this is a fully mature Spike Lee as a filmmaker. And I think as a filmmaker, you see some of the filmmaking prowess of Spike Lee at this moment. I think, as you said, there's a film that in a lot of ways is on an ensemble, but it centers on these two characters, Vinny and Richie, in the midst of this summer of when the son of Sam is murdering people. But as you said in the description, while that's the kind of sexy backdrop, there's a lot going on. Like this is a real time of instability. You know, besides what we talk about with the son of Sam, the Yankees are pursuing the pennant, the World Series pennant. There's a blackout that is on the horizon because this is infamously a record-breaking heat wave that causes a blackout at some point. And then just culturally, 1977 is this hotbed of change and things going on. Like, we're talking about Richie, played by Adrian Brody, who is basically a punk. Like he's really becoming immersed in punk rock culture, which historically is true in the 70s in New York at this moment. But at the same time, what we call disco is a cultural phenomenon. Historically, if this is set in the summer, kind of the culmination of disco as a pop culture phenomenon happens a few months after the summer, because Saturday Night Fever comes out in, I believe, December of 1977. So while the dance scenes in here don't reflect the post Saturday Night Fever phenomenon, certainly this is what was bubbling.
Yeah, and you see it in the fashions.
That you see it in the fashions and everything. And I like Spike Lee's movie. Like, I like the way he captured it. When the film comes on, noted New Yorker Jimmy Breslin kind of introduces it, who not only was a part of the Summer of Sam, Son of Sam phenomena. David Berkowitz infamously sent letters to Jimmy Breslin, who was a columnist and journalist. But, he really is kind of a old school New Yorker.
Definitely.
And I think Spike Lee situates this film as a New York film. Like, this is a New York film. And in 1999, we are... I don't think New York is 100% gentrified in 1999, but it is certainly well on its way. Like New York in 1999 is not New York in 1991. No. And even by 1999, you had New Yorkers, native New Yorkers, sort of talking about how it has changed and what it used to look like. And I think Spike Lee captures this sense of place, whether we're talking about this Bronx neighborhood, even the moments that you see where David Berkowitz is living. And then when they venture out of the Bronx and go downtown where CBCG is and everything. And you get this New York. A couple of the moves that you get from this moment Spike Lee you see in here, like the oversaturation to show kind of David Berkowitz's mindset, and there's a bit of the crane that we talk about with Spike Lee, but not as stylized as you would see in earlier Spike Lee. I think there is a strategic move that Spike Lee makes with this film that we've talked about before, where we've talked about Spike Lee in his blind spots. And, something like Get on the Bus, where we said that, Spike Lee kind of has a blind spot for women characters. So it's just no women in Get on the Bus. Right. And likewise, we've talked about Spike Lee perhaps not being as strong of a script writer as he is filmmaker. So you look at something again like Get on the Bus, where he doesn't write the script. And as you said, he's the third writer on this script. But since then, I've seen things that Michael Imperioli has written, and I very strongly suspect that Spike Lee's name on this script, he really was the third writer. Like, I don't know how much he actually had to do with this script. And I say that as a compliment to the script. Like, I like the characters in here a bit. The acting, I like a lot of the actors in this movie. I love Adrian Brody.
I do too.
Like, I love Adrian Brody, and I enjoyed Adrian Brody's performance in this film as somebody who is, again, this kind of proto-punk, kind of figuring out how to be a punk, but also this kind of hustler. He's making money by performing in a gay bar downtown, and and he's doing a bit of sex work. And Adrian Brody just has these wonderful soulful eyes that you see everything kind of going on with it. John Leguizamo, I like John Leguizamo, but I have to say, I always get a bit of comedic energy from John Leguizamo that kind of ran up against the overall tone of this film.
Because he's not necessarily on a comic vibe.
Because it's not a comic vibe at all. Although I must say, towards the end where he begins to unravel, and there's this mania because he starts to abuse drugs and he's losing complete control of his personal life. I liked his energy. Like, I like that manic energy that you get the last half hour or so.
Okay.
I really like Mira Sorvino.
Okay. Yeah.
And I really like Mira Sorvino in this as a sort of put upon wife who can't figure out what is the deal with her husband, played by John Leguizamo, who's been cheating on her and everything. And I like, she as much as I like Adrian Brody in this film, I think Mira Sorvino may have been my favorite performance in here. Likewise, I've always liked Jennifer Esposito.
Me too.
Always liked Jennifer Esposito. She doesn't get quite as much to do in this film, but it's someone who the bulk of her screen time is opposite Adrian Brody. I think she does well. Like, I think she kind of carries it. And, the script, part of the reason I know Spike Lee only had but so much to do with this script is because for as much as, and we can talk about this, some critics, I think critics have always been very sensitive about the way Spike Lee depicts Italian Americans, because, some real New York stuff with black people and Italian Americans in New York. I found the depiction of this community surprisingly nuanced. Like, you got some meatheads.
Yep.
It's always the sort of Italian meathead course that you have, frankly, in a Spike Lee movie, and not just a Spike Lee movie. I think, I think I mentioned it a month ago. I've kind of been halfway working through The Sopranos, and I don't think the meatheads in here are any worse than the first season of The Sopranos. But there is a
lot of the same actors.
But Ben Gazzaro plays basically the local mob boss.
Yeah.
Everything.
I see the thing. I can't turn this. It's annoying.
And I really liked him. Like, I really liked this sort of low-level neighborhood organized crime guy. Like there's this great scene with him and Al Pagonia, who plays a detective from the neighborhood.
Anthony LaPaglia,
who plays a detective from the neighborhood, who comes with his partner, one of the very few black actors in this film, Roger Gouverneur Smith.
Spike Lee utility man.
But they have this wonderful scene where they're talking about Anthony Lapata becoming a policeman and going into law enforcement, and Vinegar Gazzar Luigi has this wonderful little monologue about him going into law enforcement, and it's basically a low-level betrayal. When I wanted you to come into business with me, and as you know, I'm just a simple plumber, but you also could have been a great plumber. And you like kind of the hurt that he didn't go and become a plumber. And then during the blackout, infamously, this is a moment where there is looting.
Yes.
And rioting throughout New York.
Particularly in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, Harlem, downtown. And this was the best sort of depiction of this stereotype of the sort of Italian Americans going to protect the neighborhood. Like, he tells them, send the guys out, give them some bats. And he says, but string up some lights, and, we're going to give out, cannoli and this. And I'm like, this is something, and even the Italian meatheads, again, it's like Italian meatheads from Central Casting. But there's this wonderful little detail where there's a character named Bobby.
Yeah.
Who is an out gay man. Very overtly feminine, very out. And some guys from outside the neighborhood beat him up.
And that's the point. They're outside the neighborhood.
They're outside the neighborhood. So we're neighborhood guys. We're homophobic. We've used homophobic language throughout the film. But Bobby is part of the neighborhood. So therefore, these other guys are going to catch holy hell. So that even that, I was like, Now, the other thing you get with later Spike Lee, and we, I say this all the time about these sort of really well celebrated directors. No one is really in the business of telling them no.
Right.
The film is, it's like 2 hours and 50
plus.
2 hours, 20 minutes. And look, it's too long. It's too long. But again, I'm going to say that pretty much about 99% of the movies that we watch that are over 2 hours. And certainly once you get one of these great directors later in his career, I'm going to say there's a bit of indulgence.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, oftentimes with these films, I see places where you can kind of
You see the cut.
You see the cut. But I think the challenge with something like The Summer of Sam, going back to what I said in the beginning, this is an utterly fascinating moment in history. Where the film does a great job showing the paranoia that kind of takes over. I think the way it parallels this rise of punk with, this sort of neighborhood disco and how they kind of clash with one another. There's a scene where at one point Vinny and his wife, they leave the neighborhood and end up at Studio 54. And this is the real disco. This is the real club life. And frankly, they end up in a drug-fueled orgy.
Right, because they don't
get into Studio 54, but then some Studio 54 people come out and kind of gather and scoop them in, and you realize they are completely out of their depth.
Right. They show up with Plato's Resort, right?
Right. And they go and end up in a situation that y'all are the big fish in this little disco in the neighborhood. But you in downtown Manhattan in 1977 now, and it is a whole different situation. And certainly there's some scenes probably you could probably cut and this, but I couldn't put my finger on a scene and say this complete scene could be gone. which kind of goes into my argument about whether or not it's a black film. Because frankly, I haven't seen this film in probably 10 years. Like, this is not one of my go-to later Spike Lee films. And it certainly isn't my quote unquote white film. Like, I always go to 25th Hour.
Okay. Just to correct one thing that you mentioned earlier, he actually did this film after he got game.
After he got, okay, yeah, but it's in this, right, in this moment. Because this is clearly a Spike Lee film. And I feel like if Spike Lee made the film, it's a black film. And certainly if he, it's not like a case of where John Singleton directed one of the Fast and Furious films, right. But there was nothing about the film that, like, if you had never told me John Singleton directed this film, I never would have known John Singleton directed this film. Like, between Terrence Blanchard and the camera stuff, like, if you had showed this to me, I'd have said, wow, this feels like a Spike Lee film. Right. And then, Roger Gouverneur Smith shows up. But I really was interested in this kind of counter narrative that Lee does with this film, that you see him, whether we're talking about Miracle at St. Anna, where he does World War II, or even The Five Bloods, where he reclaims Vietnam, where I really saw this as this counter narrative to something like Saturday Night Fever, where Saturday Night Fever kind of set up this real, frankly, whitewashed version of club culture and of disco, which then turned it into the fad that it did, which then kind of destroyed the club culture. The irony, of course, is that if you ever watched Saturday Night Fever, it's actually this kind of...
It's a very dark film.
It's a very dark kind of character study, but I think what people pulled away from it was...
The flash, the
dancing, flash and the disco
fashion.
dancing, which turned to this thing. But so much of The Summer of Sam kind of parallel, like I see it again as this sort of text that he wants to set beside the Saturday Night Fever phenomenon. Like, this is what's really good. This is what really happened. And again, I say this because again and again throughout the film, he sort of visually alludes to Saturday Night Fever, whether it's the clothes that Vinny wears, whether it's the way kind of Vinny moves, whether it's the fact that you have actual club music. Like, I love the soundtrack of this film. Like, you have the actual kind of club music that gets played until it's time for something outside of the club, and then you get ABBA. Like, I love how ABBA is used in this film to let you know that now this is a moment of artifice as opposed to the club itself. So that I was going to land on it's a black film even before I watched it. And then after I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, this is absolutely Spike Lee kind of bringing his counter narrative to it, which makes it even more strongly a black film. So that I land on, I like the film. And I think it's a black film.
All right. I don't think it's a black film. I don't like the film. Here is why. I do agree with you that Spike Lee is trying to bring the counter narrative. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. What I agree with you is that Spike Lee is trying to take all these disparate points. The Son of Sam killings, the heat wave that is taking over the summer in New York, the New York Yankees rallying, the paranoia that is growing in New York in general, but by focus of this movie in this neighborhood. And he's trying to use all of this and put this in this pot as this bubbling, mood of anxiety and fearfulness that is, and desperation that is growing in everyone in this in the film, all of the characters. John Leguizamo's character, Vinny, because, you know, in his philandering on his wife, he runs kind of tangentially across the Son of Sam, you know, being in the area of one of the murders, and now thinking that the Son of Sam saw him and that he's marked for death soon. The Richie, kind of like a bit of a poser as far as this whole punk movement aesthetic that he has taken on, but in trying to take it on, you see a guy who's trying to kind of like find himself at this cross point of where they're moving out of being just a young teenage knuckleheads on the neighborhood and moving into like they're young adults. And what does that mean? So, you know, how do you want to show up in this world as a young adult? So I think Adrian Brody, to your point, such a soulful actor because of his eyes and just because of his talent, is a very interesting person to put in this role to show someone trying to really find his way, trying to really confront himself sexually, because you say, you know, he's a hustler. He's out there doing basically almost like turning tricks after stripping.
Yeah, I don't know how almost it is.
Well, only because you don't see what's happening behind the door. So, but he's doing something. Yeah, you know that he's doing some kind of sexual work, like you said. But he has this real, honest, affectionate relationship with Jennifer Esposito's character, who the film takes no shorts with it, is kind of like the girl that quote unquote got around in the neighborhood. Like all the guys know the Jennifer Esposito character, yet he has developed an actual true relationship with her that there's interest there. You want to know what's happening. You talk about Jennifer Esposito, an actress who I feel in her prime, this is definitely her prime, didn't get the moment to shine as much as her talent deserves. Curiously enough, the role that Mira Sorvino plays was written for Jennifer Esposito. Yeah. But then they decided to cast her in this, and I think she probably does like get the character that she plays a little over more. The shame of the movie, you mentioned about how there's not enough of her, and when she is, she's kind of like she's almost always with Adrian Brody. The real shame is that's the story at least I want to follow, because I'm curious into that backstory. How are they relating to one another? How are they getting along? They both seemingly seem unaffected by the paranoia that's going on around them, because they seem to be almost in a bubble. The punk world, the emergence of punk culture in New York at this time. It's not even emergence, because CBGB is definitely a thriving thing at this time. But that's kind of like almost cocooned them from what is going on around them, so much so that they don't know that there are forces coming to them that will bear at the end of the film. That is like this missed opportunity. But in Spike Lee trying to put all these desperate parts together, I think the failing is because Spike Lee is the third writer on here, and like there are some earmarks to him in some of the dialogue, but a lot of this plotting is by the main writers, Victor Colicchio and Michael Imperioli. And in them, I see two guys that are trying to get their Martin Scorsese on, and in so doing, this film fails at that, because there's so much going on that I lose track a little bit of the connective tissue. I don't necessarily. they're telling me that there's paranoia in the neighborhood. And there seems to be paranoia going on in the neighborhood because the script says that these characters have to give voice to it. But I don't feel the paranoia. It's not getting across to me. And part of that is because the film takes so many divergence. We talk about the Richie character, Adrian Brody's character, being like a sex worker. Sex seems to be on a lot of people's mind in this movie because there is a lot of sex and gratuitous nudity that is going on in this film. You talk about things that need to cut. That is what needs to be cut. But the nudity is there, and it doesn't need to be there to the extent that it is. But the sex and that is happening, to me, it doesn't connect to anything. It doesn't. The Son of Sam murders, at least as far as we know, there's not any overt sexual component to it, so it doesn't bubble up in there. There's not any connection between the sex that we see happening and the heat wave. It's got nothing to do with the Yankees and the meatheads that are all around. Yeah, they're homophobic and they got trash to talk about the Jennifer Esposito character. But outside of that, you don't really, there's no connection to them in any of the sex. And there is a lot of sex in this movie. And I don't know whether or not that is the fault of the writers or it is the fault of Spike Lee, who we have mentioned we have trouble with the way that he writes women. I don't think any of the women in this film are actually that well developed. Mira Sorvino's character.
I like Mira Sorvino.
I like her character, but how much of her is really developed outside of her own? When you think about even the scene where she has with another woman, this film does not pass the Bechdel test because they're talking about Vinny. Yeah. They're talking about her husband. And she spends the majority of this movie worrying about her relationship about her husband. So there's no real sense of any interiority with her at all. At least the Jennifer Esposito character is trying to rebel against the reputation that she's developed in this neighborhood. But at least from her, and maybe this is me just wanting it for Jennifer Esposito, but I think she's given me the subtext of somebody who recognizes the reputation that she has, but that reputation is from these meatheads.
Right.
She is just somebody that just owns her sexuality.
Right.
She doesn't have any misgivings on what she's done, because when we're introduced to her, she has been seeing a guy for 2 weeks who's proven that, and she's breaking up with him because, like, dude, you're not about nothing. I ain't got time with you.
Well, you know who she is. She's the mirror version of, oh my goodness, I just forgot old girl's name, and I really like that actress in Saturday Night Fever.
Donna Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. She is. So I don't feel like any of the women are even that well developed. God, heaven knows, I love myself some Patti LuPone, who plays Adrian Brody's mother. Even she gets a sex scene in this movie. And I'm like, God, can any woman be cast in this film that doesn't have to have a clause in their contract that says they got to take their top off? I'm like, Jesus Christ, y'all, what the hell are y'all doing? Because
she's the only one that takes her top off in the main cast.
Okay, she's the only one that takes her top off in the no. I believe Jennifer Esposito is shown topless in the scene.
Is.
I think she is. I think she is shown without a shirt in a scene. I could be wrong.
All right.
There are
Patti LuPone does, because that was a little.
You weren't expecting it.
I was not expecting that when I got up this morning.
Patti LuPone, the matron of Broadway, ladies and gentlemen. You are not expecting to see her take off her top.
Well, now I've seen Patti LuPone's nipples. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month, and she has nothing to be ashamed of. But it's just not.
You're just not expecting it.
Not expecting it. You're not expecting it.
Yeah.
But she is one of a parade of breasts that are in this film. So forgive me if I believe that every other
You're mixing
person.
up to-
There's a lot in this film. And I just didn't see the connective tissue with them. And okay, if we're not going to spend as much time with Adrian Brody and Jennifer Esposito's character, which I think is the more interesting story, I'm going to spend so much time with this Vinny character and him being so racked with paranoia. Meanwhile, he's the biggest jerk off. And you know who else? That's who else you see. I think you see topless in this. You see BB Newworth, Lilith from.
No, she has a bra on the whole time.
Oh, you're right. All right. Still.
I can't believe we're.
Because it's a lot. Anyway, but you spend so much time with Vinny, John Leguizamo, who, again, like you said, an actor, for the most part, I enjoy. But when I actually started going through my mental Rolodex, I think he's a little bit more miss than hit the times that I have seen him. And he definitely, in this movie, is a miss. Because I feel his character is all over the place. And because of that, and because he is primarily, to me, supposed to be our window into this world, he is supposed to be the connective tissue to Sam because of Sam supposedly stalking him. And you never get the sense that Sam is stalking him. But I don't feel this paranoia that he's saying he's feeling. I don't really feel it. I don't feel it. And then the depictions of the son of Sam and that whole storyline that is running kind of alongside, almost like a B plot to this movie. Okay, admittedly, maybe they can't go too deep into facts because how many facts are really known about the son of Sam. So he's trying to play with the facts that he knows and like stitch this story to it. But I just don't think that it connects. It just doesn't connect with me at all. And it's stuffed with these actors, Anthony LaPaglia and Robert Gouvernet-Smith as the cops who come into the film. Like, you don't cast these two guys as cops. I think I'm going to follow at least a little bit of them.
Right.
They are gone for most of the film. And then when they do show up, they're kind of like almost in the background. They're not really given anything to do except eat sandwiches at this lunchette with Ben Gazzara. And you talked about that monologue, great little monologue, almost like a moment out of a Martin Scorsese movie. I don't really feel like they follow up with that. I don't feel the building, the connective tissue. And I feel like these are writers that are trying to be Martin Scorsese, and not for nothing, I think Spike, while ripping out some of his own his usual bag of tricks with the crane shots and everything like that, I think he's trying to get a little bit of his Martin Scorsese on in here, because that not once, but twice and maybe three, if I think about it, times does he try to do the whole, one continuous shot walking into the club. And he does that at least twice going into clubs, which is a Martin Scorsese hallmark. I just found like these were three creatives that were trying to pay homage to, another creative that they enjoyed. Spike, his blueprints are on it hardcore. This is a Spike Lee joint. It says it at the top, and he owns that. God bless him. He should. But I don't think that makes this a black film, because I don't think that this really speaks to the black experience in any way, despite Spike and him finding a role for his sister in this movie as well. And it is a very blink and you miss it role. I just don't think it has anything to say about the black experience or condition circa 1977.
So we're having a version of the Seraph on the Swanee. argument, which is the book that Zora Neale Hurston wrote about white people in the swamps of Florida. A black person has to write about something that speaks directly to the black experience, is what you're arguing for it to be black.
No, that's not what I'm arguing. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm just arguing that this film, I don't feel, is a black film. I don't think that this. I don't think that okay, my definition of a black film is not necessarily a film that speaks to the black experience, because not all black films speak to a black experience. But I think of case in point, some Will Smith films, some Wesley Snipes films. But I do think that that is a hallmark of a lot of black films.
Sure.
And I think black films that maybe fall out of that, criteria are films that feature black actors in either a lead or considerably prominent role. I feel like a director, if it is a black director, does not necessarily make a movie a black film, because they can very much just be a director bringing their own style, their own vision, their own level of craft to a project, but doesn't mean that they are imprinting it with with blackness in a way that makes it a black film.
Yeah. I think if you acknowledge that this is a Spike Lee movie, and like I said, if you didn't tell me that Spike Lee directed this and just showed me the parts, without Roger Gouverneur Smith or Spike Lee in it, but you just showed me, I would say, oh, this
looks like a Spike Lee
movie. I think
movie.
there's a Spike Lee movie.
Right.
If I can identify your style, then I think it's part of your output. And as a black, I think that makes it a black movie. Again, as opposed to, I think it's like Too Fast, Too Furious that John Singleton directs.
Right.
Which that, I'm just sort of a hired gun. I got to make sure the cameras and everything are where they're supposed. Like, I am a professional filmmaker.
Yeah, but that being said,
but there's nothing stylistic. Like I think there are some directors that are auteurs that you see their films and you automatically know this is their style. This is so whether Tim Burton is doing Planet of the Apes or Dark Shadows or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, this is some Tim Burton stuff, or Chris Nolan or Wes Anderson or Martin Scorsese, or like, okay, well this is their joint. And I think Spike Lee is one of those directors. And then I think
I agree with that.
These sort of journeyman directors that don't have a quote unquote style,
like Tim Story.
Right. They just, I am a professional
director,
sort of, proficient, skilled at my craft, but my style isn't necessarily one that you can pull out. And for me, that falls more under what the argument you're making. But if you have a style and I can pull your style out of it, then I would say that's absolutely, it is absolutely a black film. Like, because you're like, regardless of it's not what you're talking about, it's how you talk about it.
Yeah. I still disagree with that, because again, that's his style. That's his his bag of tricks that he's bringing to this, but he's still telling a different story.
Yes, absolutely. But
so it can be a Spike Lee joint. It's definitely a film in his filmography, but I don't think that it is. I don't think that it is a black film, because I think that a black film would still have to have the marriage of the two, either speaking of the Black experience or having Black actors or faces in prominent roles.
Okay. All right. As far as it not holding together,
Wait a minute. Case in point. Say as opposed to Fast and Furious, right? Which some might argue features Black people in prominent roles.
Sure. That it brings in Ludacris and Tyrese.
Tyrese. Yeah. You know, my argument would be that they're not in the like leads, but
and it's sort of aggressively non-racial, like the Fast and Furious. Like we'll talk about them next February because racially they're fascinating.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
But suppose John Singleton directed, and for all I know, he may have, but I'm pretty sure he didn't, directed a Lethal Weapon movie.
Right.
With now starring Mel Gibson, but Danny Glover's in the lead, a co-lead in those films. An argument could be made about those movies being a Black film. I would say, and you probably would say too, an argument could be made without John Singleton.
I was just about to say that. I actually think that's.
But if John Singleton is directing that movie, or Ernest Dickerson, it makes it like it's definitively, a Black movie.
Ernest Dickerson is another one. He does like action. He's done more than a few action films, and some of them feel more like Ernest Dickerson movies than not.
Yeah, but they almost all got a little bit of his imprint on them.
And the ones that have his imprint, I think I would call Black movies.
Even, and I'm drawing a blank, but he does like one of those sword, movies.
Well, I don't
see films. Or is that the Hughes brothers? I think it was Ernest Dickerson, but go ahead.
The Hughes brothers. When the Hughes brothers do From Hell.
From Hell.
Like, I wouldn't call From Hell a Black movie.
Mm-hmm. But
you know what?
But it's got their imprint.
You know what? I was as it came out my mouth.
That is a Hughes film.
I actually take that back.
That is a Hughes film,
and I think it's a Black movie.
So because
yes, I am changing.
Because you thinking that falls under the same argument here.
Yes,
because that's what you're saying.
Yes,
okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's 100% what I'm saying. And again, I think a filmmaker's style trumps everything else. And as far as the film not holding it, I do think. I have a little bit of a reading that the Vinny character is struggling with his sexuality.
Well, I think.
Well, no, not struggling with being straight. I mean, struggling with being faithful. I mean, struggling with his sexuality.
Okay.
And I do think there is this not developed enough through line that people are kind of dealing with their sexuality and questioning each other's sexuality. And there
could be an argument that there's a through line there, but to your point,
it's not developed.
It's not developed. It's not developed. And maybe that's what they were going for with through all this sex. But it's just like I said, the connective tissue is not there.
And then again, I just said general instability in New York at that moment, because I do think this is a very New York story.
It is.
Like, you talk to New Yorkers who were there at the, like, it, even like there's this great moment where one of the meatheads jokes that maybe it could be Reggie Jackson. That almost,
because he's number 44,
right? And that almost gets violent because emotions are so high because of the World Series. Like, everybody's just really volatile.
Yeah, I get it. It's just.
But
I didn't feel the ratcheting up on it. Like, there was actually points where I was feeling like he's trying to get us to feel everything, charging up to this big conclusion, a la do the right thing.
Yeah, certainly.
But it's just not there. It's not there. It's just not connecting for me.
All right.
Yeah. So would you recommend that people see the Summer of Sam?
I think I would. I don't know if I said this out loud. I kind of allude. It's a mess. Like, it's a mess. And there's a tighter version of this film. But I like what's on the screen enough to recommend. And again, I like this period of Spike Lee, this sort of late 90s, early aughts period. So I would.
Okay. Well, I would not recommend Summer of Sam, ladies and gentlemen. I like you, I believe it could be tighter. And I just think it's a little bit too gratuitous. I think there's too many missed opportunities in here, and I think there are better places to see Adrian Brody, Mira Sorvino, and Jennifer Esposito ply their craft.
All right.
And Spike Lee, to be fair. So there you go. There's our review of the Summer of Sam, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know what you feel about our review. You can hit us up at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. And before we tell you what is going to close out our query of February of Is It a Black Film? I invite you to follow the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, and or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, at Micheaux Mission. Also go to YouTube, like many of you right now, and subscribe to the Micheaux Mission. Hit that bell so you're notified when we put new videos up, when we go live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And let us build up our account. We're a very young YouTube channel, but more and more we're becoming bigger and bigger in this space, putting more videos up there. And we're very excited to see people enjoying all of the shorts that we have been putting out. Plan to continue doing that. So if you can reward us with hitting that subscribe bell, we really appreciate it. And feel free to go over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and review, because that helps people find the show as well, which is, as always, for now, 7 years running, a proud member of The Podglomerate. ThePodglomerate.com, their beautiful network of podcasts. They make podcasts work, such as ours, which streams every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. from YUNKJunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, right here in the heart of Manayunk, Philadelphia. Go to Dylan at YUNKJunk.com and book your time in one of the new studios that they've got going up in their new home here in Manayunk. You see the Micheaux Mission all decked out, all beautiful. So zen in here. It's lovely. So come, be one with us. All right.
All right.
Next week, Vincent.
We're on a mission from God.
Oh, boy. This is one of the most requested films.
Yes, it is.
On the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the one that started the question of, is it a black film?
It's true.
We're going to decide, finally, is The Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers.
A black film.
Yes.
Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi.
Yes, sir.
Ray Charles.
Uh-huh.
Aretha Franklin.
You better think.
Think what you trying to do to me. Next week.
Cab Calloway. Did you say James Brown?
James
Brown. Mm-hmm.
Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
YUNKJunk!